Where do you go when your religion crumbles and your whole world turns upside down?
What do you do when your beliefs fail you?
How do you learn to trust God again?
Join us as we pick up the shattered pieces man-made religion left behind by taking up our cross and following Jesus.
Hello, welcome back to the Born Again Bakers podcast. I am your host, Audrianna, and this is my beautiful co-host, Hannah.
Hi.
All right, we are back for part 2 of our homeschool prep series, our homeschool chats. And we today want to talk more about setting ourselves up for success as we go into the school year. So we've already talked about curriculum and some of, did we really get into our philosophies for homeschool? I kind of don't think we did.
No, we didn't.
So I guess we can talk about some of that and just kind of our personal beliefs or goals with homeschool and setting ourselves up for success. So when are you starting again? I forgot.
Well, I'm aiming for August 17th, but we shall see. That's kind of when we start to really get serious and ramp up.
Okay. I was planning on doing September 1st, but my kids are starting a local homeschool enrichment program this week. And so I feel like maybe I should just start sooner because it's technically their first day of school is this week. But I don't know, because we're not actually done with last year, so I wanted to finish. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Maybe just keep doing what you're doing, and then when you finish everything from last year, have a celebration, first day of school, day.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. Well, so why do you homeschool?
Oh goodness, why do we homeschool? The funny thing is, my husband and I talked about homeschooling on our very first date, and just casually, thoughts and opinions on all sorts of things like organic food and driving a minivan and homeschooling, and it was obviously a really casual first date.
He was vetting you so hard.
We both were. Neither one of us wants to have oh, hi, how are you kind of conversation. We're just kind of let's get to the point. We're getting to the meat of the conversation. And so we were just what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And so we had talked about homeschooling off and on. It kind of intimidated me. I had wished I was homeschooled growing up. I was watching you and some of the other cousins do it, and I just thought it looked so fun. And looking back, it was a really good thing that we didn't. It was really good for me that I didn't. But I think there were so many benefits. And when my oldest was turning 5, his birthday's in July. He was born 5 weeks premature. He was just not quite ready to sit in a classroom. And we had toured some of the charter schools in the area because we were in the Phoenix area. Phoenix is known for their great charter schools. And some of them were so intense. He actually got into one of the top charter schools in our area, and we were so excited about it. And they were just kind of crazy with what they expected out of a 5-year-old. So I was kind of nervous, and we decided to hold off and just bring him home for 1 year and try it, and loved it and never really looked back. We just kind of wanted to create a culture of, I don't know, every homeschool family that I had been around, including some of our cousins, they were all really close to each other as siblings, and as just their family unit was a different dynamic. And I think I really craved that for my own kids. And I would have been so sad to say goodbye. I would have done it if it was the right thing, but it just didn't feel like the right thing to us. What about you?
I always planned on homeschooling. I'm one of those people that the public school system just failed. I did mostly public school. When I was about 8, we got pulled out of public school for about a year because we lived in Massachusetts. It was just a 2-year stint while my dad was specializing, but my mom got pregnant, and so she was planning on taking us to all the historical sites and just doing a year of kind of historical world schooling almost, except we lived there, but mostly experiences and stuff. And to this day, those are some of my very best memories. We didn't do as much as she had planned because she was sick, but it was just a great year, and I always wanted to keep homeschooling. She put us back in school, and I was really sad, and I hated it. I had undiagnosed ADHD, definitely, and I did not learn well in school. It was so hard for me, and I had so much anxiety that I didn't really understand was anxiety, and I could not learn those things to say I can't memorize things. I am not dumb. I always thought I was. Like, I can learn just about anything. I just don't learn it the way other people do. And so I'm one of those cases that, like, the public school education did not work for me. And I never wanted my kids to feel that way. I wanted my kids to love learning and do it at their pace in whatever way they needed to do it. So that was always my plan. My husband was not on board at first. He wasn't like, no, you can't do that. But he was just like, I don't want weird kids. He just didn't know any better. He didn't know anything about it. And to be frank, his family's very anti-homeschool. And so I had to just kind of like ease my way in. And then we got kind of lucky in that my daughter's kindergarten year was like 2020, 2021. And so that was kind of our only option anyway. And so it was just like an easy, well, this is what we're doing. And I just kept it. And I mean, by that time, my husband was kind of like, well, I trust you. You can do whatever. So it was fine. And it's been truly such a blessing to us because even though I am, well, now I feel great, but like last month, the month before that, I was pretty miserable and sick. And so we've been able to do school in the in-between and like in whatever way works for us. You know, I just would not have been able to even get my kids to school a lot of days, but I can do school in my bed, you know. So it's been a really beautiful experience for us, and I do love that my kids are really close to each other.
Yeah. So do you have a specific philosophy that you guys follow?
Oh, we are so eclectic. I cannot. The ADHD just cannot handle. I don't know how people just stick to one thing. I feel like there's so many benefits to all of them. So if you are new to the homeschool world, there is like Montessori and Waldorf. There's classical. There's Charlotte Mason. There's unit studies. There's like 1 billion different philosophies around the best form of education. And I just feel like for each individual child, it's going to be different. There's a different form of education that works better for certain kids. And depending on the subject too. Like I feel like math should be pretty, I don't know, like standard? That's not maybe the right word. But like, I don't know. I feel like the really artistic ways of teaching math just haven't worked for us. But if it's just, you know, black and white, then it works great. And some subjects we want to be able to do the unit study and dive really, really deep and let my kids just explore the topic as deep as they want. So we're very eclectic.
Same. People ask me about all the time. They're like, what's your homeschool philosophy or what curriculum do you use? And I'm just like, we're eclectic. We kind of pick and choose. I think there's beautiful things in all of them. And I actually just joined a co-op that's very Charlotte Mason. I even had to read a Charlotte Mason book, like on how to homeschool that way, in order to be in this co-op. And I realized while reading it, one, that when people ask you what kind of homeschooling you do, they literally want to know if you're like Charlotte Mason or classical or something, which that was news to me. I didn't realize that. And two, I realized that we were implementing like all of the Charlotte Mason philosophies. That's not all we do, but for anyone who doesn't know, Charlotte Mason is very like child-led. It's not unschooling. That's a totally different, but it's very beautiful, and it's a lot of like, you know, you read living books, which means you're adding in books into your homeschool in order to learn, whether it's like a historical fiction or nonfiction, whatever it might be. And then rather than just like worksheet after worksheet like you would get in a school, you're asking them questions and they're like speaking to you, and then they're writing out things, and there's a lot of like art and nature study, and it's really sweet. And I realized while reading that book that we kind of do a lot of that anyway. But we are more classical in that I follow like a 4-year standard rotation where, you know, every 4 years we like restart our history. And so, I mean, I kind of just do all of it, and we throw in unit studies when we feel like it.
I mean, I feel like a unit study can go with any of the different philosophies, you know?
Yeah.
I think unit studies are an incredible way to learn, but I don't know that it's the best way to learn everything, which is really why we're both eclectic.
Yeah, and I think any curriculum could be used with any philosophy for the most part, unless it's just straight worksheets. Then, I mean, I don't know anyone who wants to just fill out worksheets. You know, it's not my favorite way to learn, and it's definitely not my kids' favorite way to learn.
No, and honestly, that's very much how I felt like The Good and the Beautiful was. Like they were trying to put all of these different components into an open and go book, and it just felt to me like, okay, this is just a lot of nothing. That's a really harsh critique. It's actually not a terrible curriculum, but anyway. Um,
No, but it doesn't work for everybody.
no, it doesn't. And just a lot of like book work it's just a lot. But reading like the literature makes it come alive to the kids. And so, yeah, that is one of the best aspects I feel like to the Charlotte Mason philosophy is just the emphasis on reading and listening. It's not like they have to be actually visually reading the book. They can listen to it. It's the stories that may just make everything come alive, and they learn things so much better if they're interested in it.
Yeah, my kids want an adult conversation about a topic that they love. My oldest just wants to sit, and that was literally the critique he got going to like a little neighborhood preschool. There was a woman in our neighborhood who had like a master's in like early childhood education. Like she was very like impressive, and went to this little preschool in her house. And that was the critique I got was, he doesn't want to interact with other kids. He just wants to sit and talk to me. I'm like, yeah. He likes the adult conversations. He really does. And all of my kids do. So I think it's important to just have the conversation and like, how does this apply to our life? And where do we see God in this? And, what went wrong? And how does history repeat itself? Just like very, I don't know, intelligent, intellectual conversations. And they're so stimulated rather than just like, okay, we read the book, now fill out the worksheet and answer the questions. I was really good at that growing up. I can memorize really well. And I could completely forget that there was a test in the next class and sit during a lecture I was supposed to be listening to and just memorize the next class and ace the test. But could I have applied that to my life? No, I absolutely failed in application. And then I went off to college and felt like I had no real world skills. I knew how to memorize and take a test really well, and that's all I had. I didn't have any way to apply myself otherwise. And so I was failed in that way in school, I think. And I'd rather my kids not memorize dates that don't matter, especially in today's day and age. You can look it up. I'd really rather they understand the concept. I'd rather they understand, if someone is mentioning a part of history, making a joke, I want them to know the reference. And I don't care if they know exactly what year it is, but I do care if they know about what part of the world it's in and about what else was happening in history at that time. I think that's more important than just like 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, or whatever it is. I don't know, it might not even be the right year.
You got it right.
Although my kids do know that.
No, but it's true. It's kind of like in the world of like exercise, you have functional muscles and you have basically just cosmetic, like aesthetic muscles. And we want our kids to have the kind of like educational muscles that are actually useful rather than just for show.
Yeah. My second child, so my first child, absolutely loves history. He is a history buff. If I never taught him one more thing about history for the rest of his childhood, he would still know more about history than 99.9% of all adults. He sits and reads encyclopedias for fun. He memorizes World War II facts for fun. That's what he does. He cried one time when he had read every single encyclopedia in the house. I had to like go buy him more. And my next child, I think because my first child is so gung-ho about history, well, she was claiming I don't like history. I'm like, well, you can't just like not like history. It's literally everything. And so without realizing it, she became very invested in American Girl dolls and specifically in reading the American Girl doll books. And one day, my sweet oldest child, trying to get on her nerves, was like, that's history. And she's like, no, it's not. And they got into this huge argument. He's like, you do like history. And she's like, no, I don't. I don't like history. She was like so sure that she didn't. And yet that child now can tell you so much about the Great Depression and about World War II because she loves these girls and she's been reading about them without even realizing that she's learning history. So it doesn't have to be a worksheet. It doesn't have to be an encyclopedia. They can literally just get the context. Those girls don't exist in real life, but the time period is real. And she actually fell in love with history without realizing it.
I love that. That's actually what made me fall in love with history. I wanted an American Girl doll so bad. I wanted Felicity. They don't make her anymore, and that is devastating. Okay.
Yes, my daughter tells me that all the time.
Very niche. She was like a redhead, and she was colonial, which is we were in Massachusetts at the time, and I wanted her so bad. I never got her, but I knew a whole lot about her when I was 8.
Yeah, and then without realizing it, you've like loved that time period.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing with history is you have to find the time period that interests your kids. If they are like, no, I don't like history, you just find the thing that makes them want to learn.
Absolutely. My girls are really into the old Little House on the Prairie series, like the TV show. They love it. So without realizing it, they've learned more about the pioneer times than they realize.
Yeah. Oh, we love the Little House on the Prairie series too. It's so sweet.
It is really sweet.
We're reading Little House in the Big Woods right now because I want to read it every year, basically. I just love that book. It's just so sweet. Okay, anyway. And they're like having this newfound love for it, and I love that for them and me.
Well, that's like the beauty of it's like living books, right? Whereas instead of reading about what pioneers did in history, like go read Laura Ingalls Wilder and learn what it really was like. It doesn't have to come from a textbook.
Exactly. In fact, it's far more effective to learn it from a living book than from a textbook.
100%. Yeah. So that's really like sparked a love for my kids. I'm also like usually banned if I'm shopping with my husband from going into the book section at the store because he claims we don't need more books, but we always need more books.
You always need more books. Did you hear that they're like destroying books in AI data centers? So like you actually need them. Tell Mark.
Yes, I'll have to relay the information. There's something about like opening a book and just smelling it. I don't know, and holding it.
I just feel like I learn better. Like I absorb the information better if I'm the one actually reading it and not
Yeah.
like, yeah, getting it from a video or something. Okay, so as we're setting ourselves up for success for this new year, we both have a few weeks left before we like go gung ho. What else do you have to do to prepare? What is your, I don't know, what's your order of operations?
So I know what curriculum I like now. If I don't know that year, then I'm doing a ton of research on what I think we want to try, and then asking people I know who have it, and then watching every YouTube video under the sun about that curriculum until I find the one that fits us. And so I have all my curriculum. I know what I was going to do. I knew what I was going to do, which we talked about in the last episode. And so now we've also talked about the fact that I'm kind of a cheapskate, and so I usually just buy the digital copies of everything. Mostly it's practical because then I can reuse it years later. It actually ends up saving us a ton of money. And so it's not my favorite printer I've ever owned, but I have an EcoTank printer, and I can print literally thousands of pages. I already did this year, and the ink doesn't even hardly look like it was used. And so it's not the greatest quality printer, and it's a little bit slow and clunky, but it's a workhorse, and I spend probably a week just slowly getting things printed out, and then I just like lay them down in like big stacks, and then I have to bind everything. I have like a little binding machine, and I laminate what I need to laminate. I literally, you can see behind me if you're watching, that's my history timeline. There's no pictures on it because I laminated them all, but now as we go through history for the year, my kids will add the little pictures for the timeline. And so we kind of do that. I'm in my schoolroom. I learned that this room is very quiet, so this is my new podcast room because it's insulated with a lot of books. And so I'll get that done, and then I'll go through all of my curriculum that needs forethought. If I need to purchase any new books for the year, like I'll go through my list for language arts, and if there's any new books I want to add, because we've read a lot of them already, then I'll add those, and then I will go through my history curriculum and figure out what art lessons I want to do with it, like what crafts we want to do, even what meals that go along with the history lesson that we want to do, because my kids love when we add in like a lunch while we're learning about whatever that time period is. Even if it's not the greatest meal, they think it's so cool to eat like a historical meal. And so I'll go through and plan all that out. I don't date my calendar for the year because then I just beat myself up when we get behind, which we will. There will be a week that we're sick. There will be a week that we like randomly go on a trip, whatever it is, or I'm just burned out and I need a break. And so I don't date my planner. I just plan for the year. I'll go through my science curriculum and see what kind of experiments we're doing, and then make sure I have all of those things on hand. Just little things to prepare. I think that's pretty much it. And then I will fine tune my cleaning schedule of my house, and I will kind of try to find the new flow that we need for the year. Every year that I've had to add a child, it changes the dynamic of the school, and so I have to figure out which child is going to get which subject at what time and how I can flow through the house and do that while also simultaneously maintaining my house and while also simultaneously feeding everybody 3 times a day. And so that's kind of what I do. Right now, this year, I really want to focus on crock pot meals, I think, because we're just getting busier as the kids get older. I remember trying to get together with older homeschool moms and be like, why are they always so busy? We're really busy. It's not intentional. When you're in kindergarten and you have one kid that does school for an hour a day, like you don't have hardly anything to do. But I have 4 kids, and so we're doing school all day.
Yeah, it adds up. I'm surprised. Like, this is our first year where I'm like, wow, this is like a lot of school. Just because with all the different kids, it really does. It just adds up. Even if it's only, 30 minutes per kid with, all the different individual lessons and breaks and everything, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it does.
Do you break your day up? Like, do you have specific times that you do school with different kids, or how do you handle that?
We have a flow. I try not to, I don't want to be beholden to a clock. I let my kids wake up naturally. This year I might actually try making them get up a little bit earlier just so we can get our day going. I have a couple kids that would probably sleep until 9:30 every day if I let them. And my kids aren't natural early risers. Praise the Lord. I'm not complaining. And so I like having my hour in the morning with my Bible and my coffee. It makes me nicer, or if I can run to the gym before everybody's awake, glorious. But I think this year I'm going to make everybody get up. I bought them all an alarm clock last year, which don't recommend. Don't do that, guys. Just go wake them up. But we're going to do that, and we kind of I try to start with Bible study, just like a devotional, whatever it is, so we can all be grounded. We do PE for 20 minutes. It doesn't take very long. I just want them to be really exhausted physically. And then we can jump into our day. And then after that, we usually, since they're super focused after running, and obviously we've eaten breakfast by this point, they have to come to breakfast dressed with their teeth brushed and their bed made. That's a rule. And if they're not, I'm like, sorry, go finish that, so then you can have breakfast. Better hurry up. Your breakfast is going to be cold. And so anyway.
You told me that on Marco Polo, and my oldest was like, she's really harsh. I'm like, great news. We're starting this rule too.
It works because otherwise, it's my mindset too. Someone recently gave me the advice of getting yourself dressed before you leave your bedroom in the morning, and it makes such a difference. Otherwise, I'm in my bathrobe sitting on the chair with my coffee for an extra hour. If I'm dressed and ready for the day, I'm it's a mental game. So it's not just my kids. I want to come to the table ready for the day too, so that I'm not just okay, we better get started.
Yep.
It's hard. Someone recently told me that they need to send their kids to my house for a boot camp, and I about died because my kids are far from perfect, but I am pretty regimented. You have to be. And so, anyway, so they come, they eat breakfast, we do our PE, and then we jump into math. Math because it takes the most focus. And so I tend to start with that, and I'll just kind of go from kid to kid, whoever needs help, and get them all started. If one person needs a long math lesson, and I know it's going to take me a good 20 minutes of explaining and whiteboard time, then the other kids are working on handwriting or spelling or things I don't have to be involved in, and then we kind of switch. And then my youngest kind of jumps in and out. She's going into first grade, and so she can't do anything without me except handwriting, which takes her 3 seconds. So then I kind of have to specifically focus on her after all of my other kids are started with whatever they need to get done. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Do you let all your kids do their schoolwork around your house, or do you keep them all in your schoolroom?
I try to keep them all in my schoolroom unless there's a problem between 2 of them, and then they need to be separated. And so they're allowed to go do their math somewhere else. And oftentimes, I'm in the kitchen making bread or something, so they'll come in with their book and ask for help. And so I don't have a problem with it as long as they're focusing, but that really depends on the child.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
I have one that would just go upstairs and play with Legos and never come back.
I have a few of those. Actually, all of them.
Yeah. So the rule typically is stay in the schoolroom until you're done.
Yeah. I'm really wishing we had carpet in our schoolroom because it gets so loud. But
Yes, it
also I have
does.
toddlers in there that just scream. So it's we were doing our catechism this morning. I like to start with Bible too. We were doing our catechism and my almost 2-year old, the question was, um, how many persons are in the one God? And the whole time he's just yelling, God, 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 because that's the only word he could figure out how to
And it's
say.
like
So
hurting your ears.
literally all the whole time, God, God, God. I'm like, quiet, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yep.
So sometimes I just make him go out, and the younger ones get to sit at like our homeschool room's just right off the dining room. So I just make them go out, and then occasionally I'll be like, okay, everybody out while I do this lesson with the one kid,
Yeah.
because it just gets to be too much. But I'm always curious how other people navigate it all. I don't know.
Yeah. I either go out with the one if I because I have some that can't focus when there's other noise. And so
Hmm.
we either go out together or everyone else goes out and finishes what they're doing at the kitchen table or whatever. But I will say, this is my first time ever having a carpeted schoolroom. Our schoolroom in Idaho was tile, and then last year we did it in a tiled room, and it is so nice in here. And I bought myself a chair for the corner. I am so excited about having this chair because normally I don't get to sit for hours and like I start to get really tired. And anyway, so I'm have a chair in the corner and it's going to be really great because it's also going to keep me on track because I have a place to sit instead of like I'm going to go out and sit on the couch while you guys work. That's usually what I've done. And then I get distracted or then I'm cleaning something and so now there is no excuse. Everything we need is in this room.
Yeah, I feel like I would feel that exact same way, except that like the proximity of our schoolroom to our couch is fine because like for read alouds we can all just go sit on the couch and it's fine. But yeah, I'm really wishing we had carpet. Like I have a rug, but it just does not do enough. It is so
No.
loud in that room.
Yeah. I like it
Ugh.
for some things. I can do some read alouds while they're doing other work. But if
Mhm.
it's like a book and a novel or something, we'll go up in the playroom. And there's like a jungle gym up there. They can play and get their wiggles out. And it's still quiet.
Yeah. Oh, that is nice to have the jungle gym. Maybe we'll
Makes a
go
big difference.
upstairs to our playroom when it's fixed. It's not a bad idea.
Currently
Uh,
out of order.
very, very out of order.
Literally.
I shocked some people on my Instagram stories by showing that. Mm. Okay. For us, I have like turned a new leaf and I'm waking up at 5:45 every day so that I can for sure be up before my kids. And it is the biggest game changer. Being chronically ill, there are certain things that just don't happen when you're sick. And so for the longest time, it was like we weren't doing school until the baby was down for his nap because it was just too chaotic and I didn't have the energy. But now that I have the energy, it has been so nice. We were done with school by 10:30 this morning. We did all of it because we were able to start so much earlier. I'm going to be waking my kids up because they have that enrichment program. It just makes more sense to me to have them wake up and then we can get school done earlier. Um, but yeah, we have a general flow as well. I'm not going to be like stuck to a schedule, even though I might want to be done with things as we add things in. It's definitely going to take longer. So it's good to give yourself grace too. It's very important to keep that in mind for
Yeah.
homeschool.
And it's better than burning yourself out. That's what I've learned is I am actually usually an early riser. I typically wake up before the rest of my house, but the mornings that I don't, I try to give myself grace. Like my body obviously needs this extra rest because it's unusual for me at least. And I would rather lean into that than burn myself out waking up every single day and then we get nothing done for a week because I'm so tired.
Yeah, or you just end up being like a grumpy mom and then your kids aren't
Yeah.
enjoying it. And you want your kids, they're going to learn so much better if they're actually enjoying it and if they want to be around you than if you're like a crabby little monster mom and then they're not going to learn. They don't want to. Then everybody's fighting, learning, and it's just, yeah, it makes it worse. So, yeah, give yourselves grace. But it really, I hated that advice for the longest time. Like, I just thought, no, there's no way. Like, I need the sleep. Actually, I function way better when I wake up. Now, obviously, if I'm in the middle of a flare, that's not true. Like, if I'm really, really genuinely sick, no, sleeping is definitely going to be better for me. But when I'm not in the middle of a flare, it really does make a huge difference to wake up before my kids and get some time to like regulate myself before I have to go regulate everybody else.
Yeah, it's like time to it's really hard to wake up and just start running, like especially when you have littles and everyone is screaming and hungry and you don't even have time to like brush your teeth or go pee before someone's like, Mom, what's for breakfast? Mom. And it makes me automatically like overstimulated if I'm being so for real. Like my least favorite question is what's for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I'm just like, oh, just give me a minute, guys. Let me get up, let me get dressed, whatever. So when I can get up and be totally dressed, and I've been reading the Bible, and I've had some coffee, I'm a much nicer mother. And even some exercise that helps a lot too. I was in the habit of that in Idaho. That needs to happen again this year. But it does, it makes a difference. And I like waking up to a clean kitchen. It's like a non-negotiable because I'm in a bad mood if I wake up to dishes and a dirty countertop and the floor hasn't been swept. Then I feel like I'm already behind for the day and like I need to catch up. And so waking up to like a peaceful kitchen and I just get to sit in my chair with my Bible it's a gift to myself.
Not having the already like missing check boxes when you wake up in the morning, having everything just be like, it's like waking up to peace, truly, as somebody who rarely ever has that done because of life circumstances. Having it actually be done is the biggest game changer for my mood all day long. You don't even like realize it when you're just in like bare minimum survival mode. You just don't realize the things that you're missing that would just make your life so much easier. So this is my encouragement to anybody who's sick. You will get there, and there are little things you can do to make your life so much easier. And if that is just loading the dishwasher, do it. Take the time. Give yourself that gift.
Yeah.
It is.
Set a timer for 10 minutes and just see how much you can get done. And chances are, after 10 minutes, if it's not done, you've at least been motivated that now you want to keep going.
Or it's even just a little better. Like little bite-sized pieces, baby steps are still steps in the right direction. So just, it's okay if you're not running your marathon to win it. You're still running the marathon and you're doing a good job. So, okay. What are some steps you're taking? Because I know you said crock-pot meals. So what are you, what are some things that you're planning on doing to set your family up for success for meals? Because sometimes that's the hardest part of homeschooling is just feeding everybody. And, after you're like burnt out from teaching all your kids and managing everybody's school load, then you have to go, okay, wait, so now I have to do lunch and then I also have to do dinner. So what are we doing? We're both trying to be like more on top of it this year. So what are you doing?
Yeah, I just want it to feel less annoying to me and just like more gratitude. Like truly, how blessed are we that we're complaining about having a dirty kitchen and having to cook food? That means we have those things. And so that's a really good mindset going in. For breakfast, I like to batch cook breakfast a couple times a week. I think this year my game plan is to freeze it at the beginning of the week and then have it. So I will make like a huge batch of pancakes and then I will put them on a sheet pan and bake them. And then once they're cooled down, I literally just cut them into the squares I want. I freeze the whole pan and then I pull them out and they're already frozen and they go into little bags. My kids can heat them up for breakfast. Or I will batch cook bagels. My kids love fresh milled bagels. And then that's really easy. They can toast them up in the morning with butter and cream cheese. They love that breakfast. It's whole grains. It's fantastic. Or baked oatmeal is one that my kids like me to batch cook, although they like it so much that we don't usually have enough leftovers for 2 meals. German pancake is a really quick one because I can get the butter going and like in the oven and then quickly make it up and wait for the oven to preheat while I'm reading my Bible. Like it's really hands off. And so if I wake up way before my kids, that's typically my go-to because then it's egg and fresh milled and so like butter, so they're getting like all of the food groups that they need, and that's a really good way to start your day. So I just always make sure that we have a batch cooked breakfast.
That's very smart. We do a lot of oatmeal. I am hoping to do a lot more like fresh milled pancakes so that they can just go and throw it in the toaster and I don't even have to be part of it.
Exactly.
That's
the whole plan.
We like to keep frozen pancakes. It gets to be a lot. So just like I've never done the sheet pan, so I'm going to have to try that because
they're not quite as good. They're not fried in butter, but I like put butter on the top when they come out and they're still good. Like they're good enough. And I like making pancakes for my kids, but it takes a good 30, 40 minutes of flipping pancakes, and that's like behind on my day. So some things just have to give. And then I usually make like 2 dozen eggs in scrambled eggs once a week, maybe twice, because my husband does not like sweet breakfast. He does not like anything sugary for breakfast, which totally fair. He wants protein. And so I try really hard to always have scrambled eggs in the fridge for him so he can put together like a quick burrito in between his phone calls in the morning.
That's smart. Gosh, I wish I could eat eggs one day. Um,
I
they
wish
are
I could
just
have chickens.
they are truly just the easiest breakfast, like the fastest protein. Some of my kids really like eggs, so we'll just do fried eggs a lot because it's quick. Let's see. So did you ever end up freezing rice, or are you still gonna do that?
I did. I froze it. I tried it, and it worked fantastic.
Okay, I'm gonna do it then. If it works for you, then I'm doing it. So she had this idea to pre-make a bunch of rice because rice is we like to think of it as like a quick base for like a meal, but then you have to wash the rice, and then if you're cooking it in the Instant Pot, which both of us usually do, it's hands off, but it still takes a long time because it has to come to pressure and then it has to cook, and that adds at least 30 minutes to a meal. So it's not like you can have a meal in 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But if we have already washed and cooked and prepped rice in the freezer, then all you have to do is thaw and cook it. Have you used it?
Yes, I used it, and it was totally fine.
Okay, so did you defrost it first, or did you just like...
I tried it both ways, actually. Like the first day I pulled it out and kind of just like broke off a chunk and then microwaved it with I usually use like a damp paper towel when I'm microwaving something so it gets moist. But then I also stuck it in the fridge and tried it again, and it was fine. It's day-old rice. It's like nothing weird happened to it. And I try to cook my rice in bone broth when I have it, because then it's at least the kids who don't want the meat. I have like one particular child who hates meat, and he doesn't realize that he's getting bone broth rice or doesn't care, and so it's at least something in his system. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm thrilled about this hack because it's going to make dinner so much faster for me. My kids love fried rice, but you always have to have day-old fried rice to have it good. And so that's going to be so quick. Okay, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I have like an 8-quart Instant Pot, so I can make, a lot of rice at one time, and then you just let it cool and then put it in Ziploc bags and freeze it flat, or just as much as you need for the meal, because I feel like we always end up with extra rice too.
Mm-hmm. Genius. I'm going to make a bunch of different like chicken marinades and just have them frozen in the freezer, obviously.
Yes, because they marinate as they thaw. It's so smart.
Yes. So I'm going to do a bunch of that, and then I'm really hoping to get a nice backstock of bread in my freezer. I've been saying that for 6 months now, and I have not done it.
I tend to make bread every Monday morning. I try a double batch, and then I only pull out like 12 rolls at a time, and then we just freeze the rest.
I think I need to start milling my flour probably the night before, and I'll just like stick it in the freezer, because I end up waiting because I don't want to wake anybody up, but I want to start my bread like right away.
That'll be how you wake your kids up in the morning.
Yeah. But then, because then I could have it done by like lunch, and that would be so nice. Because then they can just eat lunch, and then I put the rest in the freezer. Because one of my problems is I make bread, and then they just eat it all. And I don't have any extra. So I need to be able to like stick it in the freezer while they're busy. Anyway, that's my little hurdle that I have to hop over, but we're figuring it out.
Yeah, no, it's so nice to be able to just pull that out. Or even pizza dough that's already frozen, and then you can just let it thaw and it's ready for dinner. Or even lunch.
That is the other thing I was going to plan on doing, is making a bunch of pizzas. Even just like par-baking the crusts.
Yeah.
And then all I have to do is top it. That would just be so easy. My kids love frozen pizza. I hate the ingredients. So if I could just like make my own.
Yeah.
It's going to be so nice.
Fresh milk pizza is the best too. We make it all the time. I do it on a sheet pan. Sheet pans are my like life hack. It doesn't need to be round to taste good. We eat square pizza. My kids don't care. But fresh milled pizza is my favorite. I don't like making homemade like sourdough or whatever because my kids eat all of it. But if it's fresh milled, after like 2 slices, you're actually genuinely filled. And so we end up having a ton of leftovers.
Yes, every time. I swear fresh milled is just the hack that big families need.
Really,
I mean, everybody needs it. Really, everybody needs it. But it saves us so much money.
Yes, it truly does. And we don't snack as much as we used to either. And we don't eat as much dinner because we're satisfied.
Yes, it makes such a big difference. Homeschool moms, hop on the fresh milk train, even if it's just to keep your kids satiated longer.
Even if you can't get the grain mill, find someone who has one that will let you use it or something.
Yeah, or buy pre-milled whole grain
Yeah.
flour because
Yeah.
honestly, it's the whole grain that's really doing the filling. It's not the vitamins and the the nutrients that degrade significantly in the first 48 hours. Those aren't the things that are filling them up. Yes, those are absolutely beneficial and we want them, but those are not the things that are keeping us full. That's just the components in the wheat that are doing that. So you can just buy whole grain flour. It doesn't have to be fresh milled in your house. And there's a lot of places actually. I'm sure wherever you are, just Google local mill and you'll be able to find a place that fresh mills grain for you. And you just
Yeah.
want it to be whole grain.
And like, what's the alternative? White flour, which is dead anyway. So you might as well get some nutrition. I mean, I feel like social media has made it so that everything has to be like the most beneficial it could possibly be. That's
Or it's
not
not worth it.
realistic. Yes, but it's still worth it.
It is absolutely still worth it to have the fiber and the whole wheat, like the whole components of the grain is still beneficial even if it is slightly degraded. It's fine.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's whole wheat flour from the grocery store is not the same thing.
no, definitely not the same thing. Stone milled whole grain, if you're going to the grocery store, that's going to be way more expensive. But if you just find a local mill, or even Azure Standard has it's fresher flour that is whole grain. It's called Unifine, and it just means that they're making everything, all the different components, the same size. So it has a bit of a funkier texture. I've heard. I haven't actually used it, but I have it on good authority that it's kind of a funky texture for whole grain flour. Anyway, um, these are the little hacks though. It's like having the pantry staples to be able to throw something together really quick.
Yeah, a meat and a rice, and then you throw a veggie in, and that's a solid meal. There's nothing wrong with that. It does not need to be three courses. You do not need a side dish. You can literally just, yeah, I mean, like we've talked about this on another episode, like meatballs and veggies sauteed with rice and like a homemade teriyaki sauce. It took 20 minutes, like two pans, and you're good. It was quick. But yeah, having the rice ready to go is so beneficial. Sometimes we don't get home until 6 o'clock from sports, and then my kids have to be somewhere else by 7, and so I literally have like a 50-minute window by the time we actually get home to have everybody not just like ready to go, but like fed. They have to actually be able to eat it too, so they need a good 10, 15 minutes for that. So it has to be
Yeah,
quick.
it's amazing how hard it can be to make a meal in a small time frame like that. Like you wouldn't think that it would be that hard, but to actually get them to eat too and be ready, yeah, it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. Especially when you have to cook like mass quantities. You're not
Yeah,
cooking for one person. You're cooking for like a lot of people.
yeah. So what I decided was going to be my big game plan is that whenever I'm cooking, I'm basically going to double everything and I'm going to freeze it.
Yep.
So I'm intentionally making leftovers that are easy to freeze. Not everything. Some things just aren't that great if they're frozen. But most things can be frozen. And so if I'm going to like marinate some chicken for dinner, I'm going to do double and I'll just throw one in the freezer. And then I will just slowly build things up. Even if it's just that I'm going to end up eating it in a few days when I need something quick, it's still going to be beneficial and worthwhile. And if I'm going to take the time to do it, I might as well just make my life easier and kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, that's my philosophy. I almost always double whatever I'm doing because it's like less work in the end. It might take a little bit longer to do it, but also it's the same amount of dishes, whether I'm making one or two.
Yeah. Anything else?
I'm trying to think. If you have bread stocked in your freezer, like ready to go, and rice and like meat, you can make any meal. So yeah, I'm gonna focus on crock pots for dinner this year, I think. I'm hopeful, but I'm like not in love with crock pot meals, like cream of chicken soup type. I have like a couple that I like, but they get old fast, in my opinion. You're like eating mush sometimes. So I'm
I'm
gonna
like a
be on the
for
hunt for like the best ones.
Yeah, let me know. I'm gonna try to do a lot more sheet pan dinners. Like I'll
Yes.
just prep everything earlier in the day. Like when I'm making lunch, I think I'm just gonna try to prep ingredients for sheet pan dinners. So I'll like marinate the chicken, I'll prep veggies or whatever, and then when my husband says he's leaving the office, I'll just throw it in the oven and it'll be ready by the time he gets home. So that's my big, like, I think my focus is sheet pan dinners because they're so easy and they're delicious. And I don't know why.
They're good for you.
Exactly. So, all right, we would love to know what tips you guys have. If there's any, like, one thing that you do that makes your life so much easier, even if you don't homeschool, let us know in the comments or Instagram DMs or whatever, wherever you want to reach us. Tell us what your hacks are. We want to know so we can be more efficient.
Yeah, anything to help.
Yep. All right. Well, with that, we hope that you will grab your Bibles, taste, and see that the Lord is good.
Bye.